The pandemic is finally coming to an end, so now it's time to whip out some NLP or something like that. It's time to shed that COVID weight. It's time to shake off that COVID rust. The summer is coming, and we should be able to get out there and enjoy it if you get vaccinated, if we all get vaccinated. If you haven't gotten vaccinated and the vaccine's available to you, please go out there and make sure you do that like yesterday. Go do that for your own sake, for your own health, and for everyone else's health. Like just go do that. I've already gotten mine. I'm fully vaccinated. I'm really happy about that. So make sure you go get yours if you haven't already. And if you already have, then great. I hope you're getting out there and you're really starting to enjoy life again. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 techniques that are going to really help you get your life back on track. Things were, with this whole pandemic and lockdowns and not being able to socialize and probably not being able to execute your career or whatever it is that you do as well as you do or in the same way that you do. And now it's finally starting to come back to normal. You want to make sure you hit the ground running and you really just get things back on track, get things back to normal, and not just to normal, but better than normal. Like let's use this as leverage to catapult yourself to a better place by using these NLP techniques. So whether you're a coach or just someone who enjoys NLP and finds it effective and you like using it, or maybe you're a practitioner, these 3 techniques are the 3 that I use so often, so much that I even forget that I'm using them sometimes. So you will definitely want to put these into your toolkit and use, I would say probably about every 3 months would be a good amount to use these techniques. That's about how often I use them. Now, before I get into what those techniques are, if you find yourself liking this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you've been watching my videos, like a lot of my videos, and you haven't subscribed yet, like, what are you waiting for? Just hit that subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified when I put new videos out. And if you're wondering what I'm giving away for free in this video, you can always check the description down here below. I know some of you get really impatient. Maybe some of you don't want to hear every single word that I say, but you still want to benefit from what it is that I'm talking about here. So yes, for every one of my techniques that I will be talking about in this video, you will be able to find something in the description to take it to the next step, to take it further, to use it, and to really put these techniques into practice in your life. The first technique that's going to help you get things back on track is the well-formed outcome. So another word for this would be goal setting, but not just goal setting. This process takes goal setting to the next level. Most of the time, people aren't achieving their goals. And one of the reasons why is they do not flesh out like really what their goal is, what it means to them, how to get started, creating a good strategy for it. And that's what a well-formed outcome does. There could be unconscious reasons why you are sabotaging yourself, why you're not taking your goal to the finish line. Using a well-formed outcome before you even get started on the goal is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Do the well-formed outcome on every goal that you have. And what you'll often see is that the goal itself changes, it transforms. You start to realize, well, wait a minute, that's not quite the goal that's going to get me to where I want to get to. And that's one of the many great things that a well-formed outcome can help you to realize. So what does that do for you? That saves you a tremendous amount of time and energy and not having to go chase something that wasn't going to do it for you anyway. It wasn't going to fulfill you anyway. I wish I had this before I had done so many things in my life, because I could have saved myself a tremendous amount of time and I could have achieved the goals that really were valid and meaningful to me. So that's what a well-formed outcome will help you with. It'll help you understand strategy for achieving your goal. It will help you understand, do you really have, are you really congruent with this? Is it ecological for you in your life? Are there inner resistances or outer resistances that you're not paying attention to? And finally, like how to get started. What are the first steps? You need to make sure that every step is something that you can execute on, that is within your control. Because if you leave anything out that's to something that's outside your control, then you're just working from hope. And really what you're working from is hopelessness. So you want to make sure that every step of the way is something you can execute and control. And again, that's what the well-formed outcome will help shine light on. And it will make your life so much easier if you do a well-formed outcome before you start any goal, before you start any endeavor. I highly, highly recommend you use the Wellformed Outcome, the NLP Wellformed Outcome. Number 2 is a values elicitation. Now, some of you who know your stuff, who you've done some NLP work, you might say, well, wait a minute, isn't the values elicitation part of the well-formed outcome? Yes and no. In the well-formed outcome, the values elicitation is often referred to as meta outcomes. So meta outcome meaning you go a little bit deeper about what your goal is, what the purpose of your goal is, like saying, well, what will that do for me if I achieve it? But that's usually where the well-formed outcome stops. A good values elicitation will elicit many values, moving all the way into like these very high level values like passion, joy, freedom, peace. These are some really high level values, and they're very powerful. Just to even think about them, probably gets you really excited. So if you are eliciting these values from the goal you want to achieve, you're packing all of that power, you're packing all of that motivation, all of those values that are so important to you, and you're connecting them to that goal. So you're connecting all of this motivation to achieving that goal. Now, once again, just like the well-formed outcome, when you elicit your values on a goal that you want to achieve, a lot of times, about 50% of the time, you'll go back to that goal and you'll go, well, wait a minute. What I really want is I want to fulfill these values. That's always what a goal is. A goal, and not just a goal, but any behavior you do is an attempt to fulfill a value, something you want to experience. A lot of times when people elicit their values, they'll realize that the goal itself that they were chasing is not going to do it for them. It's not going to fulfill those values. A lot of times what people realize is that goal that they were chasing was really because other people wanted it, so they thought it was important, or other people wanted it for them, like parents or a spouse, or just in general in society. We think it's good to own certain things, and so we'll set a goal based on that, and then we'll achieve it, and we'll be like, well, I don't know why I worked so hard for this, because I'm not fulfilled by this. I'm not enjoying it. Values are the key to the fulfillment. So some people will say, well, no, Damon, I just really want to achieve this goal. I don't care about the values. Well, there's always what you believe achieving that goal will fulfill for you. That is the value. So let's define what a value is. According to my mentor, Steve Andreas, a value is a generalization about an experience that is important to you. So it's not the car so much that you want. It's the experience of having the car that you want. So if having a car or buying a car, brand new car is your goal. It's also the same for a house, or anything that material possession that you want. But it doesn't stop there. It also goes for any accomplishment that you want. Let's say you want to lose weight. Well, it's not the weight, losing the weight itself. It's the value you're going to experience by losing that weight. Being healthier. Health is a value. So if you're fulfilling your value of health, and and that's really important to you, and you're attaching that to the strategy of losing weight, that's going to be more powerful. But it will go even deeper than that. You'll be able to elicit even more values out of that. So many times when I elicit people's values, they are so surprised that even some of the smallest things that they want go so deep. But most of your values are unconscious. Most people have no idea how deep their desires go, and how unconscious their values are. And so when you do this elicitation, it suddenly brings this all to the surface, and you make those connections consciously, which is super powerful. Your values are motivation themselves. That is what motivation is. You don't do anything without motivation. Motivation to fulfill a value or a set of values. So it's really, really important that you know what those values are. And anytime you feel yourself losing motivation for achieving something, all you have to do is reconnect with those values. Remember why you're doing what you're doing, and that motivation will come rushing back to you, and you'll never run out of it. And because of this, what I often say, and people go, what? When I say this, but you do not need willpower and discipline to achieve what it is that you want. In fact, those are crutches. When you truly know what your values are, then you will do the hard work. You will make whatever sacrifices are necessary, because your eye is on the values, not on the accomplishment, and not on the strategy. Most people are way too focused on the strategy and the goal itself, and they're not connected to what those higher values are. So elicit your values and connect with those values, and there's nothing you can't fulfill in your life. And last, but certainly not least, is the Swish pattern. Most people, even if you don't know anything about NLP, you've probably heard of the Swish pattern. It is one of the oldest techniques in NLP, and it's also one of the ones that has survived the longest because it is incredibly powerful. And if you know what you're doing when you use a Swish pattern, it's extremely effective. Unfortunately, most teachers, most schools teach the Swish pattern wrong. And I was taught by multiple teachers how to do the Swish pattern wrong. And it wasn't until I encountered my mentor, Steve Andreas, where he kind of smacked me upside the head, figuratively, not literally. I couldn't get the Swish pattern to work. And whenever he taught me, or he told me how to, what I was doing wrong, I was just like, well, wait a minute, that's not how I was taught. And he was like, well, how were you taught? And I told him, and he's like, well, no, I can tell you right now that's not going to work, and here's why. And this was actually one of my very first videos on YouTube, about the Swish pattern, and since then I've done a few more. I highly recommend that you watch them. It's a very simple technique, but like I said, most people are doing it wrong. Most people are teaching it wrong. And if you know how to do it right, it will make all of the difference. The Swish pattern is mainly about overcoming a compulsion or a habit. And that compulsion can be overeating, it can be smoking, it could be quitting too easily, or procrastinating. Like, these are a lot of our compulsions that we do that gets in the way of us becoming who we want to be and achieving what it is that we want. The Swish pattern can reset this for you. And it's just extremely powerful because it takes what it is you're doing when you're compulsed, and it rewires it and resets it by swishing up an image of an ideal you who you want to become. And so you're redoing your programming inside your mind. You're literally rewiring, no, not really literally, you're figuratively rewiring your brain so that when you feel that compulsion, it immediately gets swished. The images inside your mind get switched to an ideal image of yourself. So it breaks that compulsion. And now you want to move toward being that you who you want to be, and you're motivated to be that you who you want to be. So you don't procrastinate, you don't overeat, you don't smoke. You go toward the ideal you who you want to be. Now, you really need to understand how this works and do it correctly, because if you don't, it will not work. And when it does work, it's amazing because it goes unconscious again. This is not something you want to practice like daily, because once you do it, once you program it in, you want to let it go. You want to let it become unconscious so that you don't think about these things and you don't negotiate with yourself. When the compulsion would normally come up, the ideal image comes up. This happens all unconsciously. It breaks the compulsion. You move on with your life. If you're constantly having to negotiate with yourself, whether or not to procrastinate, whether or not you want to overeat, whether or not you want to smoke, or any of those things, if you're constantly having to negotiate with yourself about that, you're going to lose that negotiation sometimes, and you're going to go with the compulsion rather than what it is you want to do to, become who you want to be and accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. You want this to become unconscious. You want to wire this in. You don't want to have to negotiate every single time. You want it to be unconscious so you don't have to negotiate. And that's what the Swish pattern will do for you. I do recommend watching those Swish pattern videos that I've done, and I will link those videos to this video. So that's the 3 techniques. Like I said, if you check the description right here down below, you will find some resources to help you with all of those techniques. In addition to that, I've done videos on all of these techniques multiple times. So you can search my YouTube channel for these videos. You can just search on YouTube, put my name in with the technique, and it'll come up. The video will come up for you. But again, make sure you take advantage of these resources right here down below. Also, if you don't want to have to learn NLP to get the benefits of NLP, you can always do one-on-one coaching with me. I will leave a link in the description right here down below as well. If you're interested, you just basically reach out, we get that conversation started. And in addition to that, I do have a team of coaches where we teach and move students through transformation using the self-concept model, the most powerful NLP model there is. This model was taught to me by my mentor, Steve Andreas. I'm the only person he endorsed to teach it. And so if you want to get that conversation started, there will be a link right here down below as well. Make sure you click that link. So I'm giving you a ton of resources. Make sure you use these resources. Some of them are free, some of them are not. It doesn't matter. Just dive in, take the plunge, get your life back on track. I hope you're healthy. I hope you made it through this pandemic so far good and healthy. Stick with it. We're almost there. I know a lot of people are tired of this thing, and I am too. So let's get life back to normal. Make sure you get that vaccine if it's available to you. If it's not, hopefully it's available soon. And I'm just ready to get the world back to normal as much as possible. And I just want everybody to be healthy and alive. And so I hope this helps. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified when I put new videos out. And last but not least, if you can think of a friend or a family member who would benefit from this video, make sure you share it with them. Take care.